She fell to her knees on the roadside, one hand on her stomach, the other clutching her breath. He didn't hear the scream, but he saw the fear, and that was enough. The man who would come to save her would never hear her voice, because his silence was the only weapon he had left against what was coming next. If you believe there are invisible protectors on lonely roads, subscribe to the channel now, and comment on where you're watching from. We need to know who still believes in that. Dust rose from the road like thin smoke. The sun beat down fiercely on the cracked asphalt of Route 9 in the middle of nowhere between Cedar Falls and Grantsville. There were no houses, no shade, only the distant hum of engines and the eye-squinting heat. She came running. The dress was dirty, her feet were bare, her large belly jiggled as she stumbled over her own exhaustion. Her face was covered in dried tears, her mouth open, her eyes wide. She looked back, always back, and then it fell. First on her knees. Then the side of her body hit the gravel. She screamed, but it was a silent scream, drowned out by her own exhaustion. Her right hand clutched her stomach. Her left hand tried to brace itself on the hot ground. That's when he appeared. The motorcycle was old. A 1987 Harley Softail, chromed and dusty, with a low rumble that seemed to come from deep within the earth. The man on it was almost 70 years old. Gray beard, sunburnt face marked by years on the road. Leather jacket worn at the elbows, black gloves, and a discreet but visible hearing aid hanging from his right ear. He didn't hear her scream, but he saw the body fall, and he saw something else. Behind her, about 300 meters away, a red pickup truck stopped in the middle of the road. The door opened. A man got out. Tall, broad, walking slowly, like someone who knows the prey has nowhere left to run. The old biker slowed down. His eyes didn't leave the woman on the ground. She lifted her face. Her lips trembled. She tried to speak, but he just stared. He stared deeply. He looked into her eyes, and he read everything. Fear, pain, urgency. He got off the motorcycle slowly. His feet hit the ground with weight. He walked over to her. He stopped a meter away. He crouched down slowly, his knees cracking, and he extended his hand. The woman looked at his hand, then at his face, and then she understood. He wasn't going to ask anything, because he already knew. His hand was rough, full of calluses, oil stains under his fingernails. She held it, and he pulled slowly, supporting her weight firmly. When she stood, her legs trembled. He held her arm firmly, without squeezing. His eyes never left her face. He couldn't hear, but he saw everything, her shallow breathing, the sweat on her neck, the way she held her belly with both hands now, as if the baby might fall out. The way her shoulders trembled, the way her eyes rolled back, always back. He turned his head. The red pickup truck was still there. The man was now leaning against the door, arms crossed, watching, waiting, like a predator who knows that time is on his side. The old biker turned back to the woman. She tried to speak. Her mouth moved, her hands gestured desperately in the air. He saw the words forming on her lips. Please. He's going to kill me. My baby. He heard nothing, but he understood everything. He raised a hand, slowly, and placed it in front of her chest. He didn't touch her. He just left his hand there. Like a sign, a symbol, a silent promise. She stopped talking, and something changed in her face. She saw it. For the first time since she started running, she saw something in someone's eyes that wasn't fear. It wasn't pity. It wasn't doubt. It was a decision. The old man turned his back and walked to the motorcycle. He opened one of the side saddlebags. He took out an old scratched helmet with faded stickers from places he had ridden. He went back to her. He handed her the helmet. She looked at him, then at the helmet, then at the red pickup truck. The man in the back started walking, slowly, but walking. The old biker pointed to the motorcycle, then to her. Then he made a simple gesture, to get on. She hesitated. Not him. He took her arm again. He guided her to the motorcycle. He helped her onto the back seat. He placed her hands on his waist, and then he climbed onto the front. His hand reached for the key, and that's when the red pickup truck sped off. The Harley's engine roared, but the old biker didn't accelerate yet. He stood still, looking in the rearview mirror. The red pickup truck approached slowly. It wasn't speeding. It didn't need to, because fear had already done its job. The woman tightened her grip on his waist. Her hands trembled. He felt it. He felt the pressure of her fingers. He felt her breath quickening against his back. He felt the weight of her belly pressed against him. He took a deep breath. And then he remembered. He remembered another road. Another day. Another woman. It had been 23 years. He could still hear it back then. He could still hear his daughter's scream when her ex-husband appeared at the door. He could still hear the sound of the door breaking. He could still hear the gunshots. He didn't arrive on time. When he entered the house, she was already on the floor. Her 3-year-old granddaughter was hiding under the kitchen table, crying and calling for her mother. The ex-husband had fled. The police found him 2 days later. He got an 8-year sentence. He was released in 4, and the old biker's daughter never woke up again. He stopped hearing 3 years later. An explosion at a construction site where he worked perforated his eardrum. The doctors said it was progressive hearing loss. They said it would get worse, and it did. But he never forgot the sound of that scream. Now he looked in the rearview mirror and saw another woman, another fear, another chance. And this time he was in the right place. The red pickup truck honked, twice, loudly, aggressively. The old biker didn't hear, but he saw the man accelerate. He twisted the throttle, and the Harley sped off like a shot. The woman screamed, but he didn't hear. He only felt her hands tighten. He felt her body lean forward, pressed against his back. He felt her fear turning into forced confidence. He accelerated even more. The red pickup truck came behind, and that's when he realized it wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't going to be quick, and perhaps it wouldn't have been possible to win without bloodshed. The road was straight, long, no curves, no hiding places, just cracked asphalt and desert on either side. The old biker accelerated until the motorcycle trembled. The speedometer passed 110 km/h. The woman gripped even tighter. He felt her breath on his neck. Quick, desperate. He looked in the rearview mirror. The red pickup truck stuck. It wasn't going slower anymore. It was glued to the road, about 20 meters ahead. The man at the wheel had both arms outstretched, his hands gripping the steering wheel. His face was a mask of hatred, jaw clenched, eyes fixed. The old biker recognized that look. It was the look of someone who wasn't going to stop. I wasn't going to give up. I wasn't going to let her go. Because for men like that, letting go is losing control. And losing control is dying inside. The pickup truck accelerated even more. It came within 10 meters. The engine roared. The old biker felt the vibration. In the air, he felt the weight of the threat becoming real. He looked ahead. The road continued straight. There was no detour. There was no help. Just miles of nothing. And then he saw. To the left, about 300 meters away, a fork in the road, a secondary road, unpaved, dirt track, narrow. He made the decision in a second. He slowed down abruptly. The woman nearly flew forward. He felt her body hit his back. He turned the handlebars sharply. The Harley leaned, the tires screeched, and he entered the dirt road. The red pickup truck went straight. It skidded. It tried to brake. The wheels locked up. The rear end slid to the side. But the man was good. He regained control. He turned back. And he went down the same road. The old biker looked back. The pickup truck was coming, but now the road was different. Narrow, full of potholes, rocks, dust rising like smoke, and the Harley was smaller, more agile, lighter. He accelerated. The woman screamed again. He didn't hear, but he felt her hands slip. He grabbed her arm with his left hand. He pulled her back. He put her hand back on his waist, and he sped up even more. The pickup truck hit a large rock. The suspension screeched. The man hit his head on the roof, but he didn't stop. He sped up as well. And that's when the old biker saw the bridge. Old, made of wood. Narrow, it's rotten. The bridge was about 30 meters long. Wooden planks worn by time, some missing, others cracked. Beneath ran a dry river, only stones and hardened mud. The bridge swayed in the wind. It had no side protection, no handrail, just wood and emptiness. The old biker slowed down. The Harley rumbled softly. He stopped about 10 meters from the entrance. He looked at the bridge, then he looked in the rear-view mirror. The red pickup truck was coming, raising dust like a storm, about 50 meters away, 40, 30. He looked at the bridge again. He knew the motorcycle could make it. He knew it was light enough. He knew he'd been through. Worse. But the pickup truck couldn't get through. It was too heavy, too wide. The planks wouldn't hold up. He looked ahead. On the other side of the bridge, the road continued. It climbed a hill. It disappeared among dry trees. Perhaps there was a town there. Perhaps there was help. Perhaps. He felt the woman's hand tighten around his waist. He felt her body tremble. He felt her stomach pressed against him. And then he felt something else. A kick. The baby had kicked. He felt it through his back. He felt the movement, the life. He closed his eyes and he made the decision. It accelerated. Harley entered the bridge. The planks groaned, some cracked. The sound was loud, but he didn't hear it. He only felt the vibration. He felt the wood giving way beneath the tires. He felt the motorcycle sway. The woman clung to him tightly. She buried her face in his back. She couldn't look at him. 10 meters, 15, 20. A plank broke. The rear wheel sank. The motorcycle tilted. He pulled the handlebars. He accelerated. The wheel came out of the hole. They continued 25 meters. The red pickup truck entered the bridge. The sound was different, heavier, deeper, like thunder beneath the earth. The boards began to crack in a chain reaction. The old biker accelerated even more. He left the bridge. The wheels hit the solid ground. He stopped. He turned his head. The pickup truck was in the middle of the bridge, and the bridge was collapsing. The red pickup truck stopped. The wheels locked. The man behind the wheel understood too late. The floorboards underneath began to crack one by one. The sound was dry, like bones breaking. The pickup truck sank 5 centimeters, then 10, then 20. The man tried to reverse. The wheels spun, but the wood had already given way underneath. The rear sank further. The front lifted. The engine roared. And then, silence. The pickup truck stopped in the middle of the bridge, half of it hanging in the void, the other half still supported by the remaining piece of wood. The man couldn't get out. If he opened the door, the pickup truck would tip over. If he stayed inside, the bridge would collapse. The old biker watched everything. The woman lifted her head from his back. She looked, and then she saw the face of the man trapped in the pickup truck. And the fear returned, because she knew him. She recognized that face, that hatred, that obsession. He was no stranger. He was the baby's father. The man who swore she would never leave his side. The man who hit her when she said she was leaving. The man who locked her in the house for 3 days without food. The man who said that if she ran away, he would kill her and the baby together. And now he was there, trapped, but not dead. She grabbed the old biker's shoulder. squeezed, shaked. He turned his face toward her. Her eyes were wet. Her mouth was open. She was talking, screaming, begging. He read her lips. He's going to leave. He always goes out. He will find me. The old biker looked at the pickup truck. He looked at the man trapped inside. He saw the hatred. He saw the determination. And then he saw the phone in the man's hand. He was calling someone. Maybe the police. Maybe not. The old biker turned his motorcycle around. He accelerated. He climbed the hill. He entered the dry forest. The trees closed in behind them, and when they disappeared, the pickup truck finally gave way, and it fell. They drove for 20 minutes. The dirt road turned into a trail. The trail turned into nothing, just dry brush, rocks, and silence. The sun was beginning to set. The light was turning orange. The heat was decreasing, but the tension wasn't. The woman didn't let go of his waist, not once. The old biker finally stopped near an abandoned building, an old gas station, rusty pumps, collapsed roof, broken windows, but it had shade and walls. He got off the motorcycle. He helped her down. Her legs gave way. He held her. He guided her to the shade. She sat on the ground, leaning against the wall. Her hand went back to her stomach. Her breathing was still rapid. He crouched down in front of her. He waited for her to look at him. When she looked, he pointed at her. Then he pointed to her stomach. Then he made a drinking motion. She nodded yes, desperately. He went back to the motorcycle. He opened the saddlebag. He took out a half-empty bottle of water. He went back. He handed it to her. She drank. Half the bottle at once. The water trickled down her chin. She gasped. She closed her eyes. And then she began to cry. The old biker stood there, still, watching. He didn't know what to do with the crying. He never knew, so he just stayed. After a few minutes, she stopped. She wiped her face with her sleeve. She looked at him, and then she saw he was fiddling with his cell phone, an old cell phone, cracked screen. But it worked. He typed a message, short, direct. Then he pressed send. She tried to see who it was for, but he put his cell phone away. 15 minutes later, they heard, or rather she heard, the sound of engines, various engines. She stood up, startled, but the old biker put his hand on her shoulder. Calm down. He pointed to the road, and then they appeared. 4 motorcycles, Harley, Indian, Triumph, old, noisy, and on them, men and a woman, all over 50, all wearing leather jackets, all with the same look the old man had. They stopped in a line. They turned off their engines. They got out. Nobody spoke. The old biker walked over to them. He greeted each one with a nod. They looked at the pregnant woman. They looked at her belly. They looked at the fear in her eyes. And then one of them, the oldest, a black man with a white beard and a scar on his left eye, looked at the old biker. And he made a simple gesture. He showed his wrist, where it was written, tattooed, "We ride for the ones who can't." The others nodded, and that's when they found out. It wasn't just him against the world. It was the whole club. The man with the white beard was called Earl. He didn't speak. He just wrote his name on a piece of paper and showed it to the woman. She nodded. She tried to thank him. He raised his hand. No need. Another biker, a woman in her 60s with grey hair tied in a ponytail, approached. She had a backpack. She opened it. She took out food, cookies, cereal bars, an apple. She handed it all to the pregnant woman. The woman took it. She ate. Slowly at first. Then, faster. She was starving. The old biker watched. Then he turned to Earl. He gestured. He pointed behind him in the direction they had come from. Then he made a gesture of something falling. Earl understood. He picked up his cell phone. He typed. He showed it to the old man. Did he fall? The old man nodded yes. Earl typed again. Died? The old man hesitated. Then he shook his head. He didn't know. Earl looked at the other bikers. They exchanged glances. No words, but everyone understood. If the man was alive, he would return. If he was coming back, they needed a plan. Earl typed another message. He showed it to the old man. "Does she have somewhere to go?" The old man looked at the woman. He made a gesture resembling a house. She shook her head. "No." He made the family gesture. She shook again. "No." He made a money gesture. She lowered her gaze. "No." The old biker took a deep breath. He turned to Earl. Earl typed, "Then we'll take her." The old man nodded, but then one of the other bikers raised his hand. He was the youngest of the group, about 50, tattoos all over his arm. He pointed behind him, towards the road, and everyone heard, except for the old man. But he saw the way they turned their heads. He saw the way their bodies stiffened. He looked in the same direction, and he saw the dust rising. A car is coming. Fast. It wasn't the red pickup truck. It was a black SUV, and she was coming straight towards them. The SUV stopped 50 meters away. Engine running, tinted. Windows. No one got out. The bikers formed a line in front of the pregnant woman without planning it, without speaking, just instinct. The old biker stood in the center, Earl on the right, the woman on the left, the others behind. The SUV door opened. A man got off the bus, tall, broad, civilian clothes, but something was off. The way he walked, the way his hand rested near his waist. He was not alone. Another man got out from the passenger side, then yet another one got out from the back. 3 men, all with the same walk, all with the same look. The first one stopped 10 meters away. He crossed his arms, and then he spoke. The bikers heard, the woman heard. The old biker didn't, but he saw the lips move, and he read, "She is mine." The woman behind the bikers stepped back. Her whole body trembled. She grabbed the arm of the gray-haired biker, squeezed. The biker held her hand, firmly. Earl took a step forward. He typed something on his cell phone. He showed it to the man. The man read. He laughed. He shook his head. Then he lifted his shirt, and he showed the gun in his waistband. The other 2 did the same. The bikers didn't move. The man spoke again. His lips moved slowly, making it clear, "I'll take her. You can leave, or you can die here." Earl typed again. He showed, "She's not going." The man didn't laugh this time. He simply nodded to the other 2. They started walking. That's when Earl took a step back. He opened his jacket and showed that he was armed too. The gray-haired biker did the same. Another biker too. 3 against 3. The man stopped. He looked. He reassessed. And then he smiled. Because he knew. If I shot, someone would die. Maybe everyone. But the pregnant woman was going to be in the middle. And the baby was going to die too. He said one more thing. Slowly, making it clear. "Last chance." Earl looked at the old biker. The old man looked at the woman. She was crying. Her eyes were wide. Her hands were trembling. And then she did. Something that nobody expected. She took a step forward, and he began to walk towards the man. Earl held her arm. The gray-haired biker did too. She tried to break free. She shook her head. Tears streamed down her face. She spoke. She shouted. She pleaded. The old biker saw. He read her lips. "He's going to kill you. He's going to kill everyone. I go. Let me go." He looked at her. Then he looked at the man. Then he looked at Earl. Earl shook his head. No. But the old biker knew. I knew. That if she went, she would die. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But she would. And the baby too. He took a step forward. He passed Earl. He passed the woman. And he walked over to the man. He stopped 5 meters away. The man looked at him. He looked at the hearing aid. He smiled. And he said something. The old man didn't hear. But Earl was behind him, and Earl heard. The old man isn't even listening. What on earth does he think he's going to do? The old biker didn't answer. He simply pointed at the man. Then he pointed to the road, far away. He gestured, "Go away." The man laughed. Louder this time. He looked at the other two. They laughed too, and then the man took a step forward, and he pushed the old biker. He staggered. He almost fell, but he held on. The man pushed again. Earl took a step. The gray-haired biker did too. But the old man raised his hand. He stopped them. He looked at the man, and then he did something different. He took out his cell phone. He typed, and showed the screen. The man read, "Did you hit her?" The man looked. He laughed. "So what?" The old man typed again, "Did you hit the baby too?" The man stopped laughing. "She's mine. The baby is mine. I'll do what I want with her." The old biker put away his cell phone, and then he made a gesture, a simple gesture, but one that everyone understood. He clenched his fist, and he beat his own chest, just once. And all the other bikers did the same. Earl, a gray-haired biker, the other three. One by one. They beat their chests. The man understood. There was going to be no easy way out. He looked at the pregnant woman. Then he looked at the bikers. Then he looked at the old man. And then he spoke. Slowly, clearly. "That's fine. She'll stay today, but I'll be back." He turned around. He walked back to the SUV. The other two followed. They got in. The SUV reversed. It turned around and drove away. But before it disappears into the dust, the old biker saw. The man held up his cell phone through the window, and he made the gesture of turning it on. He had someone's number, or he knew where they were, or he had a plan. And I was going to come back. They rode all night. They only stopped twice. Once for the woman to pee behind a tree, another time for Earl to check his motorcycle oil. When the sun rose, they were 240 kilometers away, in a small town called Ridgemont. Population 1,047. It had a hospital, a church, a motel, and a police station. Earl parked in front of the hospital. The other bikers stayed outside, forming a circle for protection. The old biker helped the woman down. She could barely walk. Her legs were trembling. Her stomach was hard. She gripped his arm tightly. They went inside. The receptionist looked. She looked at the belly, at the dirty face, at the torn clothes, and she called a nurse. The nurse led the woman inside. The old biker tried to follow. The nurse shook her head. "You can't." He stopped. He stood there, in the waiting room. He sat in a hard plastic chair. He waited. Earl came in. He sat down beside him. He didn't speak. He just stayed there. 2 hours later, the nurse returned. She spoke to Earl. Earl typed on his cell phone. He showed it to the old man. "She's okay. Dehydrated, high blood pressure, but the baby is alive." The old man breathed a sigh of relief. For the first time since the road, he felt his shoulder relax. But then the nurse said something else, and Earl's face changed. He typed, "The police want to speak with her." The old man looked. Then he looked at the door, and he saw 2 police officers entering. One of them was young, about 30. The other was older, about 50. The older one looked at the bikers. Then he looked at the old man, and then he smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. He walked up to the old biker. He stopped in front of him. He said something. The old man didn't hear. The policeman noticed. He rolled his eyes, and then he wrote in a notepad, "Did you kidnap her?" The old biker read it and shook his head. "No." The police officer wrote again, "Then why is she with you?" The old man pointed to the door. He made a running gesture. Then he made a car chasing gesture. Then he pointed to himself. He made a helping gesture. The police officer looked and laughed. "Of course. He turned to his partner. He said something. His partner nodded. And then he said to Earl, "You guys stay here. We'll talk to her, and then we'll come back." They went inside. 15 minutes later, they returned, and everything had changed, because the woman had told her story, told her everything, the abuse, the threats, the escape, and the bikers who saved her. The older policeman walked up to the old biker, and this time he didn't smile. He extended his hand, and he said, though the old man didn't hear, a word that Earl heard and later wrote down, "Thanks." 2 weeks later, the baby was born, a girl, 6 kilos and 200 grams, dark eyes, clenched fists, crying loudly. The woman held her for the first time and cried too. But this time it wasn't from fear. Earl was there. The grey-haired biker was there too. They brought flowers. They brought baby clothes. They brought hope. The old biker was standing in the doorway, watching. He didn't go into the room. He didn't think he should, but the woman saw him, and she called out. She gestured, "Come here." He entered. Slowly. He stopped beside the bed. She was holding the girl, and then she did something he never expected. She placed the girl in his arms. He froze. He didn't know where to put his hands, how to hold on. But Earl helped. He guided his arms. And then the old biker looked at the girl, and she opened her eyes, and he looked back. He didn't hear her crying. He didn't hear the noise from the hospital. He didn't hear Earl laughing beside her, but he felt it. He felt her weight. He felt her warmth. He felt her life. And for the first time in 23 years since he lost his daughter, he felt he had done something right. The woman touched his arm. She waited for him to look, and then she spoke, slowly, clearly, so he could read her lips. "Thanks." He didn't answer. He just nodded and handed the girl back to her. On his way out, he ran into Earl in the parking lot. Earl typed, "And the father?" The old man typed back, "The police caught him. Violation of a restraining order. Attempted kidnapping. He'll be in jail for a while." Earl nodded. "Good." They got on their motorcycles. They started the engines, and they drove away. But before leaving, the old biker stopped. He looked back at the hospital, and he saw the woman at the window, holding the little girl, waving. He waved back, and then he left. 2 months later, he received a letter with a photo of the girl, older, smiling, and on the back of the photo, handwritten, "Her name is Grace, because of you." He hung the photo on the Harley's rearview mirror, and every time he turned around, he saw it. And I remembered that silence can also save lives. May the road still be capable of bringing justice, and sometimes protecting someone is the only thing that matters. If you believe that there are still people like that on the roads, people who stop, who help, who risk everything for a stranger, give it a like now, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, because the next story will be even more intense, and you won't want to miss it. In the next video, a veteran biker finds a child hidden in an abandoned car trunk by the side of the road. But when he opens the trunk, what he sees changes everything. Click now. You need to see this.